So Rule 16, I'm just curious as to how this works. I mean, it seems to be something that, I was informed about it by an Egyptian negotiator just before.
Well, agriculture negotiations, yesterday we didn't know whether they were either going to go through Rule 16 or a procedural outcome, and what they ended up agreeing was a procedural outcome which just said a couple of words of text, we talked, we'll talk again, without agreeing any content. But the other option would have been Rule 16, which is just things collapsed and they won't even agree those few lines. So that's what Rule 16 is.
So we don't know which of these it is?
Oh,
or
we do. They ended up with the procedural. But
it effectively means the same, something similar?
It effectively means the same, yeah.
One's
a bit more face-saving.
That there's no funding. It was like the announcement of the climate finance work program at the beginning with no actual real plan.
Yeah, it's a face-saving thing to say all of these negotiations have happened. We've got 2 lines of text that show that we did something, but without really doing something. Whereas Rule 16 is a bit embarrassing if they can't even agree that.
Hasn't the UAE sort of stuck agriculture at the top of its agenda?
Top of its... the negotiations will do its own thing as decided by all the countries, negotiated place. So the agriculture negotiations have got their own path, their own roadmap, their own schedule of workshops to try to agree and decide. The COP28 presidency, when they're saying we want to put agriculture at the top of the agenda, they're saying we want to do thematic days. They want to do like big events. They want to do announcements, that kind of thing. So that's like the inner circle of negotiations will carry on, but the next ring of COP is sort of all of the events, the non-state actor kind of stuff that happens a bit on the sidelines of the negotiations to try to draw attention to things, try to get countries to make deals, side deals that aren't necessarily official UN deals, but other side deals and agreements or
so this is more on the sort of like expo side of things.
This is the expo side of things, yeah.
So in relation to that, are you expecting Big Agri to be playing a very big role in UAE? I mean, is that where is UAE siding with them, or is it siding with the smallholders and neighbouring countries, Africa? And what is your perception on where they're actually coming to?
Well, the fossil fuel industry and the fertilizer industry are completely in lockstep with each other because the
same inputs.
Exactly, the fertilizer industry. Fertilizers require fossil fuels to be made, and as the fossil fuel industry feels the pressure to decarbonize, they see the fertilizer industry as a new opportunity for markets. The fertilizer industry also has got a lot of the technology related to ammonia that's also very relevant for CCS and those kinds of future technology promises. So basically the two industries are working hand in hand, and in many cases are the same companies, as is in the case of UAE, where ADNOC produces both fossil fuels and fertilizers.
Okay, and there's presumably very large cross ownership between those two sectors. The big agri business has always been a colonial project as well.
Absolutely.
As big.
Big agribusiness will always undermine smallholder biodiversity, agroecology, because fossil fuel fertilizers grow much better with corporate-owned seed. Corporate-owned fertilizers grow much better with corporate-owned seeds that are bred to respond very well to fertilizers. So you push those into communities, you lock people in, and then they stop using their locally adapted agrobiodiversity, and then you've got them over a barrel.
Thank you very much, Teresa.